The Guardian put out an article that is just chock full of the hypocrisy of the Catholic Church. So I want to go through this, but I also want to, want to be clear at the beginning that, like, I'm not taking the side of this administration here in the United States. But guess what? Two people can be wrong in a situation, and there can be a third perspective that is actually the truth. All right? There's a divided kingdom that fights with each other, and they're all wrong. And there is an outside perspective that is actually the truth. And I'm going to demonstrate it to you. And listen, I've gone on and tried to, gone on different, news. If there was like a news station or something, the news clip that I was listening to, I've posted. And I'm going to tell you, like, Catholics will just eat you alive over this. Eat you alive. Like, they cannot even consider the blatant hypocrisy of the institution that they worship. It's insane. Like, one blatant example, guys, is, for the people of this administration or people in this administration that have been coming out, like maybe Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, etc., and they're Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, they look at this and they're like, no, the Epstein files are a red line for me. A red line, really? What about your churches? What about, and it's not just the Catholic Church, it's also the prostitutes that pour out of her. Why are they raping children? And you're going to tell me that you accept this in your religious leaders, you just don't accept it in your political leaders? It's the same thing. The article is entitled, Pope Says World is Being Ravaged by a Handful of Tyrants Amid Feud with Trump's White House. Okay, yeah. Tell me more about tyrants, Spanish Inquisition. Pope Leo has said that the world is being ravaged by a handful of tyrants who spend billions on war, in comments that will be seen as another sharp escalation in his almost week-long feud with the White House over the U.S.-Israel war on Iran. I don't know if you've been following this, but there's been something literally every single day in this feud between him and Donald Trump. And this isn't about gossip. This isn't about, like, entertaining ourselves with drama. That's not what we're doing. This is about the truth, guys. This is about being clear about the hypocrisy of this divided kingdom. We have the United States representing the false prophet of Revelation 13, fake Israel representing the image of the Antichrist that the false prophet created and then requires everyone to worship. We have Europe being the 10 horns of Revelation 17 that became Western Europe, that hand over their power and authority to the beast. And then we have the harlot Catholic Church and the prostitutes that bore out of her, that represent, like, establishing deception and false Christianity. This is a divided kingdom that will not stand. It is not Christian persecution. That's not what's happening here. None of them are Christian. They are a divided kingdom that is being exposed, as I've been talking to you about regarding the fall of Babylon. It is the exposure of Babylon. If you have any sense, any God in you, you should be able to see the hypocrisy of both of these players. But if you don't, you just are clinging to that whitewashed wall. That's your problem. You want to stay in the deception. You love living in that muck, and you're going to be destroyed with it. You're going down with it, because everyone who has not come out of Babylon will fall within her. All right, so then it goes on to say the first American-born pontiff did not mention Donald Trump by name, but used his speech in Cameroon on Thursday to denounce world leaders that invoke religion to justify violence against other nations. Guys, can we just revisit? Can we just, like, take a look at history? So first of all, he's talking about world leaders who invoke religion to justify violence. Well, Constantine, the founder of the harlot Catholic Church, used his position and used religion to gain the support of those calling themselves Christian to gain political power. What are some of the things that the harlot Catholic Church has done once it gained political power and combined political power with religion? They have waged wars on people, innocent people, crusades, Spanish Inquisition. They've taken slaves. They actually spearheaded the transatlantic slave trade. They're the original colonizers. Their Pope told people that it told their members that if they went and fought in the Crusades, that they would have a seat in heaven. They were not doing so well financially because they had a corrupt pope who was spending all their money. And they decided on a doctrine in which people could pay indulgences, pay for their sins, so not leading people to righteousness, the covenant, repentance, but that they could pay for their sins and be forgiven. As disgusting as this is, what's going on in this administration, it's not quite all the things that the harlot Catholic Church has done. And in Revelation 17, it says that this system, that Babylon and Babylon the Great, who is the harlot Catholic Church, the great prostitute, has been fornicating with the important people of the world, has been fornicating with the kings of the earth, and is responsible for the prostitutes of the earth, those who prostitute themselves to falsehood, and is responsible for all the abominations in the earth. So how are they on the moral high ground? How is it that they're going to claim the moral high ground now and just distract from all of these abominations? How is it that this Pope has no comprehension of the institution that he's representing, or that he's talking about the great idolatry of Donald Trump, which he's not wrong, while he wears garb around his neck that have all kinds of images and kisses statues of Jesus. And, the former Pope, Francis, had sworn this oath of poverty, right? And so he was withholding from himself. This one just came right in and was like, I'll take that. Thank you very much. You going to tell me that this is not idolatrous? You're sitting in a cathedral adorned in gold. How are you going to tell me about idolatry? You allow people to refer to you as the vicar of God. You are claiming to be Christ on earth. None of the apostles did that. But you're offended? You're offended by Donald Trump. That is rich, guys. That's rich. And what's even more insane is the dumb people that follow this institution who come after me and attack me for daring to say the things I'm saying to you right now. His comments come as U.S. bishops offered their full-throated support to the head of the Catholic Church, who has been under fire from Trump for days after speaking out against the Iran war. Again, he's not wrong to speak out against it, but he is a hypocrite. To be representing an institution that he claims is the church, is Christ's church, he's representing that institution, knowing full well the history of the Catholic Church. And this isn't just like, oh, that's way, way back there in history. They're still not apologizing, still not giving reparations to those children who have been molested and raped and destroyed by this church. They're still covering those things up. So this isn't like, oh, well, I'm kind of removed from that. No, you're not. You're covering it up. So in quotes, woe to those who manipulate religion and the very name of God for their own military, economic, and political gain. I just mentioned a lot of things to you. Woe to those ones, huh? Those, like the others, right? Okay. Woe to those who manipulate religion in the very name of God for their own military, economic, and political gain. What's the wealth of the Catholic Church these days? Dragging that which is sacred into darkness and filth. Yeah. Woe to those ones, okay? Leo told a gathering at St. Joseph Cathedral in the western city of Bibenda. I don't even have words for the hypocrisy here. I mean, I'm gonna expose it to you. I mean, I'm gonna show you. It's just incredible that you could do all of these things, and to say nothing of like the really disgusting ways that those priests manipulated children into thinking that they were doing something with that priest. I'm not going to get into graphic details here by saying things like, well, we're taking on the humiliations of Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's actually a consistent sort of narrative that I've heard used in order to manipulate children. How could we just be so loathsome and so How can we humiliate ourselves to such a degree that we're taking on the sufferings of Christ? Do you know how messed up that is, to use religion to abuse a child like that? I do. I know how messed up that is. And do you know what the word says about that? About those who lead these little ones astray? If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Don't expect to escape that. This person is not the authority on morality for me. Neither is Donald Trump. Neither is his dog, his coward dog, J.D. Vance. They turn a blind eye to the fact that billions of dollars are being spent on killing and devastation, yet the resources needed, get this, okay? The resources needed for healing, education, and restoration are nowhere to be found. What? What are the resources that are needed for healing? When God says he's our healer, do you not know the word? What resources? So he's saying the medical resources, that's what's implied there, the medical resources that are needed for that, and the resources that are needed for education in the world by the world. That's what he is perpetuating. That's what he's promoting. Because the gift of life and the counselor and the teacher and the healer are through Jesus Christ. There are no resources needed for that. It's free. And he, if he was the leader of Christ Church, which of course he's not, shouldn't he know that? Shouldn't he be teaching that? Instead of involving himself in a dispute, in a fight with with someone who thinks he's a king, shouldn't he be teaching about the sovereignty and power of God and how we need to fast and return to God so that he will destroy our enemies and he will restore us? Like, shouldn't he be teaching that kind of stuff? Because that's what's in the word. The world is being ravaged by a handful of tyrants, yet it is held together by a multitude of supportive brothers and sisters, said the pontiff, who is on an 11-day tour of Africa. All right, so not teaching anything about the time of deception we're living in, the fact that we need to return to him. I don't know what this colorful language is. It's being held together by a multitude of supportive brothers and sisters. What mean that? I don't get it. We're all the problem. And the truth is that God determines the spirit that's going to reign over us. And the problem is that who he's referring to as supportive brothers and sisters, we have sinned. That's the reason why these tyrants are ruling over us. That's the reason why they have power, because we gave them that power by not returning to God. That's what the word says. The unusually forceful statement from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, meanwhile, came after J.D. Vance, Trump's vice president and a converted Catholic, I mean, he's not even doing that well, assailed Leo for speaking out against the war, in effect telling the Pope to stay out of politics and stick to matters of morality. Not only did he say stick to matters of morality, which I don't know how that's different from war, but because war is a moral issue. God says don't kill. God says those who live by the sword are going to die by the sword. I mean, like, Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. If it were, people would fight to prevent my capture, to prevent my arrest. But as it is, my kingdom is not of this world. In addition to saying that the Pope should stick to matters of morality and separating that from war, which, by the way, isn't that the appeal that this administration is constantly using, is that this is a matter of morality, that we support Israel, that it's a matter of morality, that we do not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, even though they don't. It is a matter of morality that they're lying. And this should be called out. But I don't understand. So politics is separate from morality, or because you have a different moral code in politics? Is that what you're saying, J.D. Vance, you devil? The other thing that he said is that the Pope should be careful about his theology. So I'm just wondering, like, are you a Catholic? Are you a Catholic, or are you Constantine? Using religion in order to gain the Catholic vote. Bizarre. Completely bizarre. On Tuesday, Vance questioned Leo's call for peace by challenging his benchmark for a morally justifiable war. Okay, now let's just stop there for a minute. What is a morally justifiable war? Is there a morally justifiable war, according to God? No, because Christians already knew that they were going to die. That, like, we're supposed to know that in our covenant from the time of Jesus on. We're supposed to know that we're going to be martyred. So, and we're also supposed to know that if something is ruling over us ruthlessly, that we return to God. And then that ultimately, regardless of who is ruling over it, we're going to be martyred anyway. And we just accept that. Like, we don't go, no, you can't martyr me. We go like a lamb to slaughter. Which, by the way, the Muslims in Gaza are setting a better Christian example to us than actual Christians. You don't know your covenant. These people accept martyrdom. They're not leaving. They're not hiding out in a bunker somewhere. They accept it. And actually, not only do they accept it, but they consider it an honor for God. Next time you want to criticize them, take a look at yourself. Is that your attitude? You consider it an honor to die for God? You're not even willing to suffer enough to post your testimony on the channel. You're not even willing to suffer enough to share your testimony and to assemble. Don't tell me that you're willing to die for God yet. God says don't murder. There's no morally justifiable war. You don't even get to defend yourself, okay? Jesus didn't defend himself. He said those who live by the sword will die by the sword. So you don't get to go stockpile ammo because you're some psycho who calls yourself a Christian. And you deny the power of God to protect you. Or you deny the power of God, you deny the covenant of God that you are supposed to die. You're going to go ahead and machine gun away what God has sent, avoiding the Antichrist reign? No, that's not how that works. When the Pope says that God is never on the side of people who wield the sword, there's more than 1,000-year tradition of just war theory. He told a Turning Point USA event at the University of Georgia. But the bishop said Vance had misstated Leo's position. For over 1,000 years, the Catholic Church has taught just war theory, not in the Bible anywhere. And it is that long tradition the Holy Father carefully references in his comments on war. By the way, not supposed to call anyone father, but okay. Said the statement on Wednesday, attributed to James Massa, Chair, Conferences Committee on Doctrine. Okay, that's not a biblical concept. That's a theory that they have come up with that has no biblical backing. Otherwise, why wouldn't they just cite it in Scripture? If it's in Scripture, cite it. We don't need you to come up with different concepts and theories. Cite it in Scripture. Show me where Jesus taught that there was justifiable war. A constant tenet of that 1,000-year tradition is a nation can only legitimately take up the sword in self-defense once all peace efforts have failed. So we can do that, but Jesus couldn't? Is that how that works? That is, to be a just war, it must be a defense against another who actively wages war, which is what the Holy Father actually said. He does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war. No, the Scripture doesn't say that he doesn't listen to the prayers of those who wage unjust war. And actually, the Scriptures are not even addressing it like in that direct way. He isn't addressing war specifically. What he says in Isaiah 1:15 is, even though you make many prayers, I will not listen to you. Your hands are full of blood. And this is not just referring to, by the way, it's not just referring to those whose hands are physically full of blood. It's referring to those whose hands are spiritually full of blood. And the Catholic Church is full of that. And actually, Revelation 17, when talking about this great prostitute, this harlot, it says that her hands are full of blood, that she is responsible for the blood of God's holy people. So there's a little irony for you. When Pope Leo speaks as Supreme Pastor of the Universal Church, gag me, he is not merely offering opinions on theology, he's preaching the gospel, no he's not, and exercising his ministry as the Vicar of Christ. So there it is there. So many people saying, oh, he doesn't refer to himself as the Vicar of Christ. I've had many Catholics say that, and there it is, right there. They refer to themselves as the Vicar of Christ. It is a basic fact. They believe that the Pope is Christ on earth, represents Christ on earth. Leo told reporters earlier this week on a plane to Algeria at the start of his trip that he did not fear Trump. I do not see my role as that of a politician. I am not a politician and I do not want to enter a debate with him, he said. I mean, then stop. I mean, I guess, stop doing that, because you have entered a debate with him. You know that he's not going to stop until he gets the last word. Hello? I continue to speak strongly against war, seeking to promote peace, dialogue, and multilateralism among states to find solutions to problems. Trump posted an image to his Truth Social platform on Wednesday depicting himself as being embraced by Jesus with the U.S. flag as a backdrop, which that's rich. So you got hippie Jesus with long hair, even though Paul said it's disgraceful for a man to have long hair. And you have the U.S. flag, the image of the false prophet behind you. Congratulations. These people have no wisdom. They don't even know what they are. They don't know what they represent and what God is doing through them to fulfill. Days after, they're objects of his wrath, guys, to display his glory to the objects of his mercy. Days after a backlash from supporters. Okay, so he posted that days after backlash, including many on the religious right, forced him to delete an AI-generated image portraying the robed president as a Christ-like healer of the sick. Now, I've seen that a lot of people have tried to defend, he's trying to defend the position that he is portraying a Jesus-like image in that picture. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all of the things that are in that image. If you've seen it, you know what he's trying to depict himself as. He claims that he's depicting himself as a doctor. Donald Trump is not a doctor. The bigger issue is what a blatant liar he is, and the just unfathomability of those who continue to defend him, like Franklin Graham. He is defending him over Christ because he is a disgusting fake shepherd. Fakelin Graham. He is a coward. Unbelievable that he would stand up to defend that. It is so obvious what Donald Trump is trying to represent himself as. And it is so obvious that these people stand around him with their fake prayers, exalted as the important people of the world, dressed in the world, referring to him, comparing him to Jesus Christ. You're going to tell me that he's not, that, oh no, that the fake news came up with that one. Okay. In a separate development, the Miami Herald reported on Wednesday that the Trump administration, in an apparent act of retaliation, was ending funding for a Catholic church-based charity in the city that shelters immigrant children. Didn't see that one coming. Catholic charities of the Archdiocese, and by the way, so is the Catholic Church going to be like, oh, we're so poor, we don't have the money to cover this? They're going to end that program. They're not going to fund it. You think they're going to fund that out of their own resources? Fat chance. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Miami said that the White House had pulled a long-standing $11 million contract from the Office of Refugee Settlement, ORR, for a program that provides specialized services for unaccompanied and undocumented minors who have been detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's scary. That's scary that they have any hand. My grandfather was in a Catholic orphanage. But then again, at this point in history, I don't need to tell you what happened to him. These people should not be allowed anywhere near children. The U.S. government has abruptly decided to end more than 60 years of relationship, and the services will be forced to shut down within 3 months. Thomas Wensky. Why would it be forced to shut down? There is immense wealth in the Catholic Church. What is a charity? What's a Catholic charity? The Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Miami? What is a Catholic charity if it's not collecting resources to be able to continue these programs? You see what I'm saying? They're shutting down churches, they're shutting down all of these services, claiming that they don't have any money. That's a lie. They have incredible wealth. Why do they go around lecturing people about greed and the poor and helping the poor when they're not willing to do it? The services for unaccompanied minors have been recognized for their excellence and have served as a model for other agencies throughout the country. Our track record in serving this vulnerable population is unmatched. Yeah, I'm sure the abuse is too. Emily Hilliard, a spokesperson for the Federal Health and Human Services Department, told the Herald that the average daily population of unaccompanied migrant children in the agency's care during Trump's second... I mean, these are like... This makes me sick. It makes me really, really sick, and it makes my heart hurt. It makes my heart hurt. Because these are unaccompanied minors. Who's going to vouch for them? Who's there to ask them, are you okay? Are you safe here? Is anything happening to you? Who's there to do that? No one. And yet, these programs continue to be allowed. Okay? At least there was some oversight eventually over the Epstein situation. But with this, there's no oversight. Why are children being handed over to known pedophiles? To an institution that knowingly shuffles their pedophiles around to commit more pedophilia. Why? These people have been guilty of murder and rape and sodomy. I mean, they are guilty of so much. Proven. Why is this continuing to go on without oversight? Why have we been funding it? I didn't know that $11 million was given. Did you know that $11 million of American taxpayer money was going to the Harlot Catholic Church? Did you know that? For more children to be abused? I'm not okay with that. Would you be okay with providing $11 million to Jeffrey Epstein to rape little children? Because that's essentially what's been going on. Emily Hilliard, a spokesperson for the Federal Health and Human Services Department, told the Herald that the average daily population of unaccompanied migrant children in the agency's care during Donald Trump's second term of office was about 1,900 and significantly lower than it was under the Biden administration. ORR is closing and consolidating unused facilities as the Trump administration continues efforts to stop illegal entry and the smuggling and trafficking of unaccompanied alien children. Hilliard said in a statement that did not specifically mention the program run by the Archdiocese of Miami. Wenski told the Herald he accepted some initiatives that would be scaled back as migration declined, but said it was baffling that the government would shut down a program that it would be hard-pressed to replicate at the level of competence of the church. So there's that. You know, I'm reading this before I go to bed, and I'm going to have to do a lot of praying. Because it's really upsetting. The hypocrisy is upsetting, and just knowing that they continue to have... I mean, I think I've known this, but I guess it hasn't so much been in my face, but just knowing that children are in these institutions and that we know the history of the Catholic Church, there's no doubt in my mind that history has repeated itself because they haven't been held accountable and that they have no business around children, period. And that we've been funding this. But there's just a lot to think about here in this article, and I hope that you will. I hope that you will go to God, that you will not be carried away by the stupidity of people who think that they need to pick a side, because there's no side to be picked here. They're both evil. They're both liars. They're both murderers. They're both warmongers. Like, this is something that the Harlot Catholic Church has done for many, many years. And the scriptures are telling us, if you have discerned Revelation 17 to be talking about the Harlot Catholic Church when it is describing the great prostitute, then you should know that she is responsible for all of the abominations in the earth. And if you know that, then you don't sit here and listen to what Pope Leo is saying and think, oh, he's such a good man. Maybe he's a good pope. No, he represents that institution. He's not a good anything. Please discern what I'm saying. Please discern what you're seeing with God.